Welcome everyone to this week's IPLD sync meeting. It's May the 11th, 2020. And as every week, we go over the stuff that we've done in the past week and plan to do the next week and discuss any agenda items we might have or answer questions from anyone. So I start with myself. So in the past week, I finally did a bit of Rust work again. Some work on the multi-format stuff. So there was a release of Rust multi-hash and Rust CID. There, the major change was that now the code for having your custom codec table is in. So now, yeah, you can have your own custom codec table. The other big change in Rust IPLD was David, contributor to IPLD, Rust IPLD, did a huge change on the codec trade, which is kind of like more or less the central piece of, or one piece of IPLD, which is about the codecs, how you encode and decode stuff, and there the trade was refactored, and it's better than it used to be. And also with this PR, some things moved out of what we call core IPLD into other parts of IPLD. For example, the storage stuff. So because I said like the storage itself shouldn't belong really to the core, but it's just like a separate thing. And we couldn't agree on a block API yet, but so my proposal is up, but I now port my proposal to the new codec trade probably this week. And then we go from there with the discussions. Then I also worked a bit on the DAG.json spec and merged the stuff. There's one more PR, which is just renaming the file. And I think then I consider DAG.json probably specified and done. Yeah, that's all I did. So next on my list is Rod.
Okay, sorry about that. My week has been swallowed by Bitcoin. Really deep in this stuff, but I made really good progress. Just slower than I imagined. So I can now produce a full graph from a block. I can decompose a block into all of the component IPLD blocks, including the two Merkle graphs and the witness commitment block. I haven't verified that yet, though. I'm sort of stuck. That's where I'm stuck on the weekend. And I haven't quite got the reassembler either, so I can't quite do the there and back again and test that it's all working. That will be the critical piece, that I can take a single Bitcoin block and sort of shatter it into all these IPLD blocks, and then take the reverse and get byte for byte the original. That's the ultimate goal, obviously. I'm blocked on incompatibility with car files. The whole point of the car file work I did, and the other one, zip car files, the reason I started working on them in the first place, before they became really important to Filecoin and others, was because I wanted to use them for test fixtures, portable test fixtures on IPLD work. And so I'm trying to plug this in here initially for testing, so that I can take a very large graph, store it somewhere, and then bring it back again. And that was supposed to be the purpose. But because I'm now toying with Michael's new multi-formats, and the car file stuff works with the old JS block and CID model, it's incompatible in really nasty ways. And so it should have just been a matter of just, make car file and throw blocks at it. Like, it should have been really simple, but it's just errorful. so very sad. So I have to now choose which yak to shave to make that work, which has been bothering me for the last day.
So if I get this PR reviewed for multi-formats for the buffer stuff, I can then move on to porting block, and I think I can probably get block to you like sometime tomorrow.
Well,
So
but then
if you have the new block API, I think it'd be fine.
Okay. Are you going to put reader into block and get it out of codec interface? Because that seems
I'm gonna
like
put yeah. Reader's gonna go into block. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. That's what I was thinking, because I was thinking I could tackle that, but I bet Michael has something specific in his head.
No. I'm just gonna put it in the block API because like then if you want to provide a better reader, you provide it to the block API rather than to multi-formats, because it doesn't make sense to provide it to multi-formats.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if it doesn't make sense, but it's sort of one of those pieces that just floats around independently.
Yeah.
Okay.
Brief. Do you guys have a nice like picture of how those pieces fit together that would be easy to review without JavaScript API splunking? Because I would love to see that.
Not exactly.
That could probably be an output that we produce sometime soon. It might be good to explain what's going on here. Because this is like generation 3 now.
Yeah. So I want to ship the new block API and all the new codec changes, and all the new hashing functions. Once all of that is out and we've updated like all the internal IPLD stuff to the new block API on top of all of this, then I'll prepare a talk and documentation for the other teams, like to sort of explain what it is and how it all works. So that would probably be the time when we would want to fit that in.
Anyway, nobody read this as a criticism, because I'm actually really enjoying the new multi-format stuff. It's just, it's so nice to work on these things in isolation, because in the past we've had to, you just want to say you just want to write CBOR blocks and you install that, and suddenly you've got Zcash in your dependency tree, and this thing's they're just so big and heavyweight. The new model that Michael's come up with is you're just dealing with these isolated pieces that you want, and even in your tests you can narrow it down to just one thing, and you can make stuff up, and I can insert mocks, and I can create new codecs, and do it all in a very isolated space, which is how it should be. So it is a nice API. It's missing the rest of the stack. So that's the complication. So anyway, what I might do today, I've been pondering it. One of my options is to just convert the car library to new multi-formats. And the only problem with that is that it needs CBOR to do the root block, the header block. So anyway, that's where I'm at now. So that's me.
Next is Eric.
So I have not a ton of technical things to report this week because I ended up doing a lot of coordination things, but there's plenty of fun news on that front. So first and foremost, there's a bunch of people working on IPLD and selectors in Rust who are hanging out in the IRC channels. And that's really exciting because lots of good questions are getting raised. I think some of the discussions that we're having there, I'm going to totally want to go back through the IRC logs at a later date and turn them into more documentation wherever there's gaps. Or just if those things are documented, make them more discoverable, and some of the stuff that we're uncovering there, in addition to just being good to talk about, the people working on it are also doing a bunch of test vector development. And so we spent some time talking about what would be a good way to lay out test vectors and like which parts are not obvious, but you really want to get the vectors to cover. And I'm really excited about that. So there's already draft test vector content that these folks are pushing out, and super exciting. So I'll probably at some point in the future have more work that I'll take on to make the Go libraries that already exist use those same test vectors, but I think that's going to be an awesome use of time. So super excited about that. And this might barely belong in our IPLD team notes, but in case anybody else out there wants to do Go and is starting to profile things, I've been taking a bunch of notes on lessons learned and putting those into a GIST format that are some good getting started. So just want to put that out there. if anybody finds it useful. And as I've stared at the specs repo stuff, I've made an early draft of an editing.md file, and I'm not entirely sure I'm going to want to go with this, so there will be an early draft hoisted up in a little bit, but I'm probably going to need a lot of iteration. But one of the main things that I gathered in it is a bunch of stuff from various conversations we've had amongst ourselves when like an idea comes up either from like somebody in this video right now, or like a PR comes in from outer space on the internet, and we try to figure out if these things are a good idea, where they fit in with other ideas, and like what some of the balancing factors are in trying to find the virtue of the thing. And so like checklists of, if we add this feature here, will it increase the complexity of this codec, or will it make this harder to port to a new language or something like this? Things that we informally think about all the time when we try to reason about this, I try to put them in a list. And so, yeah, maybe that'll be useful, but it'll probably need a lot of review too, because it's also one of those very meta things that's very hard to align on. So yeah, looking forward to that. And then the last thing that I did in this week that is also barely IPLD, but I want to mention it briefly, is I made a new JSON codec for absolute giggles this weekend, just for fun. It emits JSON tables. And I probably shouldn't try too hard to describe this out loud, because you kind of have to see a picture, and then it's actually worth 1,000 words in this case. But basically, if you pipe certain structures of JSON format into it, this codec can auto-detect what that data looks like and be like, ah, you have a list here and it has a bunch of maps. Maybe this list is a table, and maybe these map keys are all column headings. And then it'll basically pretty print this using the non-semantic white space to make nice human readable, skimmable stuff. There's possibly no point to this, but I thought it would be a cool idea late on Sunday night, and so I did it. It turned out that this was really easy to do with all of the APIs in modern Go IPLD Prime, so that was a cool proof of concept. In the future, I'm thinking this might be a fun thing to carry further, because we could use selectors as a configuration language to let people say, ah, yes, please highlight this subsection in this way. I don't know. Could be future fun. Could be totally irrelevant. We'll see. It's out there. And that's it for me.
Thanks, Eric, and also thanks for taking on the selectors test vector stuff, because it was kind of like pushing him to just talk to Eric, and then so thanks for spending time on it. So next one is Michael.
Hello. Yeah. So, okay. Sorry, I'm a little out of it today. Yeah. So last week, finished up the JS multi-format stuff. I took the buffer removal PR that Volker sent and put another couple days into it. Took me a lot longer to finish that than I thought it would, but I was a lot happier with it when I was done than I thought I would be. So that, it paid off. After that gets reviewed, that's basically ready to go. I can start bringing over the block API and all the codec implementations. The legacy API got way bigger to handle a lot more than it used to. So it actually does sort of full conversion from the old CIDs to the new CIDs and for all the codecs. And it also swaps out buffer for uintate array on all the old codecs and stuff. So it's like quite a bit more code than it used to be. And it's definitely going to slow down the legacy codecs, but if you care about performance, you should just get off of the legacy stuff, and that'll fix your problem. I put some time into DagDB over the weekend. I have functional indexes now, so you can do property indexes and do like sums and counts and stuff on it. It's pretty cool. And yeah, I'm off for a couple weeks starting on Wednesday. So make sure you get anything you need to me today or tomorrow, because then I've got to move during shelter in place, which is going to be an adventure. That's why I need a couple weeks to finish it all out. So, and that's it from me. Nobody is next.
Yes, but are there any questions? or comments or things to discuss, or other slightly IPLD related things that you've worked on and want to share? No.
Okay. I was going to say how strange it is that Rust might get selectors before JavaScript does.
Yes.
I was thinking over the weekend how cool that would be for some of this work now, because I've got these really interesting graphs. It would be so cool to have a selector the way you could do something like take a block and extract values out of it and look at different components of it, and that'd make a really cool little presentation, a little talk on this stuff that I'm doing, but we just don't have those tools available to us.
Yeah, so though one thing is that, so it might be surprising, but the selectors currently don't use what I call Rust IPLD. So so as the selectors work comes from the Falcon people, and they currently don't use the Rust IPLD that I work on. But it's all under control, so no worries. It's just like we are different timelines, but basically so after I finish the blog API, probably I will, then I think Rust IPLD will be in good shape to basically then start looking into, okay, how can we get all their work, also Rust Filecoin, into using the actual Rust IPLD. They're using all the underlying libraries like Rust CID and Rust multihash and so on, but just like the small A in between is not the same because they only care about CBOR at the moment. So that it was easier for them. But I kind of made sure in like some design meeting that they basically have the same abstractions that we use in IPLD. So it should be more or less just swapping out and we'll be fine. But we'll see.
If they're doing selectors, they probably are going to need more than CBOR, because you can do, in the retrieval market, you can do selectors over more than just CBOR, I think.
Yeah, but they don't care. Like they only care about CBOR at the moment. So
yeah, I'm just saying they will care
Yeah.
at least about DEG-PB in the future, because like that's what by default the Lotus like Lotus will inject like DEG-PB into those car files, and then like the whole point of the selector engine that they're writing is to use the retrieval market. So they'll definitely need that.
Yeah, but I think that like they might even use DEG-PB, but like basically, so but also like for us, like DEG-PB is not like a proper codec, or at least like it. So it
actually is in Go.
But yeah,
in Go
actually,
it's nice.
Yes, actually the thing that we did, so basically the reason like I don't know, like 3 weeks ago or something, we had this PR open about having a schema for DEG-PB. This was actually triggered by me seeing that the Rust Filecon people are doing a DEG-PB codec, which is using the IPLD data model, and therefore kind of like also used what could be described as a schema. So therefore it makes sense to see that we agreed on how does DEG-PB look like in the IPLD data model. Basically, this was triggered by this, so they also do. So so it's actually right. They also use DEG-PB, but they use, I think, DEG-PB. They only need to deserialize DEG-PB probably, and they only encode. They only encode CBOR. Therefore, they basically can go. So I'm not sure what they could do, but they could even go directly from Rust native types to CBOR if they want to, without the data model. But I think they use the data model because I told them to use the data model for this reason. So as I said, it should work out, but I just haven't had the time and still don't have the time. But I'm confident that we can just use the selectors work that is currently done also with then the Rust IPLD that I'm working on. That's totally the plan, and yeah, I will make sure this happens. So yeah, cool. It's interesting that we either have super short meetings or super long meetings. We have never something in between. That's cool.
Hey, Volker, any update on the GraphSync kind of plan organization?
Yeah, so there's currently no real update. I still do catch up with the FileCon folks, but what currently it looks, so I would say currently looks like that the people that need it the most are the Rust FileCon people. So it's likely that as they are moving very fast also with the selector stuff, so basically they do the selector stuff now to do the GraphSync stuff. So I would expect that they do the graphs, at least do a GraphSync implementation. I then need to coordinate how we get those into Rust IPFS, but I think they will do the Rust implementation. So yes, but yeah. Other than that, I don't have any, yeah, I should definitely do it this week to get also the other parties involved. That's true. So yeah, but no further updates on this. But so there will be an update next week. So I promise an update next week. So I will work on it this week. Okay. And then, yeah. Cool. Anything else?
What about the JavaScript selectors status?
Tim, I think, works on it, but I haven't had an update from Tim lately. Michael, do you have any update on this?
So I pulled him off to do a Go library this week. So the JS stuff definitely isn't happening really soon, like within the next week or two. So we won't have the selector engine in JS as soon as I would have liked, because we just had another priority pop up for, we need the string syntax for selectors to have a Go library for Filecoin. So yeah, that got delayed a little bit.
Any kind of feel for, I guess, how far along it is? I think it's been pending for a while, and I don't think I've heard an update for like maybe a month or so.
I mean, Tim just started working on it like maybe a week ago. So he hasn't been actually putting in a ton of time into it until pretty recently. But other than that, I don't know exactly what the status is. But Tim is on IRC, so if you just want to ping him and check in with him about it, go for it.
All right, thanks.
Okay. Then, if there isn't anything else, I close the meeting and thank everyone for joining. And yeah, talk to you all next week again. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.